Now, next, Prince Harry has been forced to apologise for breaching confidentiality rules relating to his High Court battle for police protection in the UK. Court documents have shown that he emailed confidential information to a friend and Veterans Minister Johnny Mercer. It comes as the Duke is ordered to pay 90% of the government's legal fees after his case was defeated, meaning that he could face a bill of around £1 million. Joining me now is talkTV's royal editor, Sarah Hewson. So, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. How bad is all of this for Prince Harry?
Evening to you, James. Well, it's pretty expensive, isn't it? And it's a pretty big loss for him. The estimated legal fees he's now facing are around £1 million. We think, we don't know yet, but we think the government. And in terms of his bid for an appeal on the original decision that he shouldn't have security when he returns to the UK, well, that was dismissed in a pretty decisive manner by the High Court judge, Mr. Justice Lane, and he described it as frankly hopeless. He was critical of Prince Harry's legal team for applying for an appeal by simply rehashing the same arguments as they'd put forward during the original case. He said that he had completely lost the case the first time round, and there was no compelling argument for an appeal. And in terms of the money side of this, well, his legal team had applied for up to 60% reduction in fees because they said the Home Office had incurred greater costs for them because they'd failed to disclose documents on time. And while the judge said, yes, that was the case, and the Home Office should have been more timely in handing over those documents, that he didn't agree that the costs were that significant. And he gave a 10% discount in legal fees to Prince Harry. So didn't get what he wanted out of this case, but it isn't necessarily all over yet. He can still go directly to the Court of Appeal and apply to them. And he's made it clear that's what he's going to do.
I mean, it is extraordinary that he continues with this particular mission, and probably very expensive. And maybe, you know, just in terms of the chances, what are people saying in terms of the chances? Yes, he may very well appeal, but is there any kind of legal advice or case that says that he could perhaps get his way?
No, well, not that we know of. And certainly Mr. Justice Lane thinks there's absolutely no chance whatsoever. And he said that Prince Harry's arguments had not been strong at all. And we also heard, as you mentioned there in the introduction, James, that Prince Harry had in fact breached confidentiality rules during this case. There's a certain irony to that, because he is, of course, fighting multiple confidentiality and privacy cases with the media. And he had also requested full confidentiality for this process against the Home Office. But it turns out that during this trial, during this case, he had emailed sensitive and confidential documents to Johnny Mercer, the MP and the Veterans Minister, who was not part of the so-called confidentiality ring that documents could be shared with. Now, the pair have a long-term bond. They both served in Afghanistan. Johnny Mercer is a big supporter of the Invictus Games, and he's leading the government's bid for the Invictus Games in 2027 to be held in Birmingham. But he didn't have the right to see these sensitive court documents. And as soon as Harry's legal team realised this, pretty immediately, they then had to contact the Home Office. They then had to try and minimise the impact of this, and Prince Harry had to issue an apology. So pretty embarrassing for him all round. And in terms of the successes, well, it's certainly not going to be resolved anytime soon. He is meant to be back in the UK in June for a service to mark 10 years of the Invictus Games at St Paul's Cathedral, and he's certainly not going to get the decision that he wants before then.
Now, let me just ask you, though, of course, with these mounting legal costs, there is a chance that they're going to have to come up with some money. And we know that Meghan has launched this website, can't remember the name. Nobody seems to be able to, in terms of whatever it's called. And the first thing that has been posted to a whole load of people, apparently she was being nice. Oh, they're influencers, with some jam. Now, I got some jam here that I was talking about on the programme earlier, the talk, which is jam that I made myself, because I like making jam. I'm assuming that the strawberry jam...
Where's mine, James?
Yeah. Well, this I made this myself. This is blackberry jam made in, from blackberries from my garden by my own fair hand. Now, I'm assuming that the strawberry jam that Meghan's talking about selling on her website, that her fair hand has gone absolutely nowhere near, and it's schlopped in a jar from somebody else.
Well, I'm not sure. She is a big fan of cooking, and we've certainly seen her in the promotional video. They're appearing to make something in her kitchen in Montecito. It's American
Really?
Review Orchard, the brand, James, as someone described it, perhaps the what three words address for their home in California. It is a bit of a mouthful. If you stick a bit of white cloth and a pretty ribbon around your jar, and then you send it to 50 friends, we'll all talk about it on social media, and then maybe you can be flipping it for a pretty penny as well.
All I know is I've got the best endorsement of the world. Ian Collins had tried it and said it's some of the best and most tasty jam he's ever tasted. So there we go. That'll do for me. And I'm not trying to flog my wares, sell my family secrets, or completely take a sort of career based on the fact that I'm rehashing a whole load of old nonsense and causing trouble. But that's just me. Oh, I just had a rant. There we go. Sarah Hewson, talkTV's royal correspondent. Thank you so much. And royal editor, thank you very much indeed for joining us.